Hello, hopefully I'm now online. So new streaming technology, everything's very exciting. So if something is not working, please let me know in the chat. If you have no sound or something, you can also put it in the chat. Maybe it's from my side, not from yours. So yes, let's start with my session. Today we will talk about Fabric for Power BI users. So yes, let's jump directly into it. So I prepared some slides, and of course I prepared also some demos. So most of the time we will see demos, not all the time slides. Okay, so first of all, my name is Catherine. Maybe you know me from my LinkedIn channel or from this YouTube channel. I'm also on X. I'm also founder of Female Fabricator and Power Platform User Group. You can also join Female Fabricators also if you are a man. We are very diverse. And I'm managing director for UWI Consulting, which is very new. I founded my company last month. So yeah, you can also go on my website if you want, yodabi.com. And if you're not already follow, make sure click on LinkedIn, follow me, and here on YouTube as well if you want. Okay, let's start with a little agenda. So first, what is your role? Then we will see a use case scenario, because I like to go from a scenario to the tool, because the tool is easy to learn, but first you have to have an idea what you want to do with this tool. So yeah. Then the task flows to manage your data solution. And then I will give you a little tour about Microsoft Fabric, so an overview about what is Fabric. And then we will see a lot of demos, and I will show you where you can use Copilot in Microsoft Fabric. Okay, first of all, what is your role? I have also some real cards here. This is only the online version, and yeah, what is your role? Everything start with what is your role and your task. So maybe you are already the explorer, so you're an end user and you already work with reports, but you only watch the reports and try to get some insights, or maybe you also adjust them to add new data. And every role has tasks and side tasks. Maybe in your organization you already have a governance, so you had a Power BI Fabric rollout already, and you also have a role concept. So not all roles are technical, some roles are organizational. And for example, the insight seeker is a data analyst. Of course, these roles need some license, for example, Power BI Pro license to build reports. But the main quest is not to get a license. The main task is to analyze the data and to build reports with a storyline. So you have to define these roles before you can start, and before you can start you have to have a governance concept, so every user know where they can put the reports if they are built, where can they found, for example, already finished reports. So maybe there are already some sales reports in your organization you can use, and so on. If you have interest in the game, I prepared forms. If you're interested, you can fill it out, and I will, if we have enough people, I will print a little series of these cards and as a framework where they fit in, so you know what you have to do. So there's a whole map where you can put on these cards and see what you need in your organization to have a proper governance concept. And of course, before you have maybe a good rollout of the tool. Okay, then the next thing, the use case scenario. In our use case scenario today, we will analyze some hospital data. So everyone knows there are so many demo data sets out there you can use to build your own demo reports. And this is also one of these demo data sets. And normally, if you are a Power BI user and we start, you have an Excel or a CSV on your laptop. So for example, in this case, I didn't change sales data to hospital data, but we know we have some data in an Excel or a CSV. So this is very common. But what we want is normally a place where we can store this data, and we have an automatic refresh in it where we can analyze the data and visualize the data, maybe also deep dive into the data, and of course track data so that we see if the numbers are changing. We get, for example, a notification or something else. And the best thing of all, it would be a sustainable solution so that it's not only a report which is built once and only used once, so that you can use it every day and it gives you everyday insights. Okay. Next thing, the current situation. Normally, if I come into a company and I see the Power BI users struggling, the normal thing is they have no proper database, so they have no database at all. And most times they have a semantic model, so a data set in which they put the data in, and most of the time it's not less data. So sometimes they put so much data in it that it's not performance anymore. So yeah, and to get a good data model depends on, but probably not, because it depends not on the tool, so it depends on you. If you have no skills to create a good data model, then there will be no good data model. Most of the times there's a big table where you have all the columns in it, and the people are trying to build a report on top of it. And that's why also the measures are not good, because if you have no good data model, the measures also most of the time are not very good. So it also depends on your skills and not on the tool you use. The next thing, a data deep dive. So maybe you want to analyze your raw data like a data science, for example, in a notebook or something. For this, we have something in Fabric. I will show you later. And then we have maybe a refresh of data, which is not in place most of the time. Of course, you can do something with your Excel file so that it's refreshed every day, but there's, do you want to use your Excel? Normally, we use a real database where we have where we get the data in it and so on. The next thing, automation. Normally, it's also not automated, so the data is pushed in manually, or the trigger which shows you if your data is increasing or decreasing as also manual task, not automated, and so on. And last but not least, so there are more, but in this case, monitoring. So if you want to monitor, for example, your numbers, or you want to monitor your report, if it's used or if it's not used, normally there is also no monitoring. Of course, you could use the metrics, the usage metrics, but for this, admin has to put it on in your tenant. Otherwise, you can't see anything. So that is a normal case. You have a data on your laptop and you put it in your Power BI desktop. And maybe you have a workspace where you can share it, but most of the times the people share the Power BI desktop file, which you shouldn't, because there's a security risk, because the data is not protected. So please don't do that. It could be very risky if you, for example, have sensitive data in it. So how it could be the perfect world in which we are, maybe. So if you use Fabric, you can have a database, a proper database, which called, for example, warehouse in the BI analytics world, or you have a lakehouse for the scientists. The good data model, it depends on, as mentioned before, on your skills. It's not because you have Fabric now your data model is perfect. No, that's not how it works. So also the measures. Only because you have Fabric, it does not mean you have good measures. So it depends on your skills. A deep dive depends on the tool. So, for example, with notebooks in Fabric, you can do it. You can also have a refresh of your data. For example, if you use data flows to put the data in your data set or in the warehouse, you can use it also to refresh your data. Then automation, of course, we can also do it with the data flows. And we have monitoring. If we want, for example, to monitor our numbers, we can use scorecards, for example. And on top of it, we have the task flows to manage our solution. You see in the picture below, we have collect data, which is, for example, the data factory and the data flows, where we can grab the data and put it in the store data area, where is the data, where we have the warehouse, which we normally would do with Excel on our laptop maybe. And then we have the create visual area, which is Power BI, where we can visualize our data. And then we have over or above the visualization area, we have the analyze and train area, which is for the science people, where they can analyze the data in depth with notebooks, for example. And we have also track data, which are the scorecasts I mentioned earlier. Okay, and the good thing is you can use the task flows. The task flows is only a process line where you have different processes which are related or not. And you have only one task flow per workspace. And it's only an empty container where you can put in your elements, so your items. And you can use it from an F2 license, so from a Fabric workspace perspective, not from a Power BI workspace. So you need to have Fabric to use the task flows. Yeah, that's the thing here. Okay, now let's see what is Fabric. So I talked about Fabric now, and how is this all related? If you think about Microsoft 365, you have, for example, PowerPoint, you have Word, you have Excel, and you only have one license for it, right? And this is the same thing with Fabric. So Fabric is a data platform where you have one license and you can use all these awesome services. Some of these services cost extra. It's like in a theme park. So you buy one ticket and you can use all rides. But if you are getting hungry and you need something to drink, then you have to pay extra. Same thing here. For example, with Power BI, every developer needs a pro license or premium license, depends on. Extra to build reports in a database. There will be also additional costs, real-time analytics as well. And Purview is a separate service, which is also cost extra. Also, the one lake on which we store our data is paid extra, but it's not that much. So don't panic. Of course, if you want to use Copilot in Fabric, you need an F64 or higher. If you have maybe a P1 in your enterprise agreement, which is already there, then you can also use Copilot. But think of it that if you use Copilot and you write prompts, every token needs performance, and if you write a lot of prompts, it could be that your reports are not rendering correctly anymore. So there is also a feature in the background where you can handle the background capacity which is used, for example, in Copilot. And yeah, so what will we see today? Let me find my mouse wherever it is. There it is. Okay, so we will see in the demo today, of course, the one lake, because the data is stored there, so you won't see it, but it is there. Only one lake per company. And then we will see a bit of data factory, engineering, warehouse, science, and of course, Power BI. Okay, then let's start into my demo. First, we have the as it is scenario. So normally, if you're a Power BI user, you open your Power BI desktop and then you go to get data, and then we load our CSV file, right? So we click on it, we say open, we get our little screen where we see our data as preview, and then we can say, okay, it's comma separated because it's CSV, and then we can load the data in it. So very, very simple, very easy. So I can now load my data. And the next step would be I would publish it to my workspace or to a team workspace. It would be better. So if I want to share things. And yes, that's it for the current situation, right? So there's nothing more normally. Of course, you could change now the link of the Excel file to an Excel file which you have on your SharePoint. There's a little trick you can use to refresh it. via this version, but today it's about fabric, so we won't go deeper into this solution. And now you see here, I can normally now go here, build my visuals if I want. So I could put in here my, don't know, my department, and I can put in here my wedding time and so on. And then it will be, hopefully, my laptop is now slow because I have also my OBS studio here on, so that's why it's a bit slow. And you see here now we have our visual. Normally you would go and publish, and then you would publish it to your Power BI or Fabric service. And how it could be. So now we want to use it with Fabric, of course. Of course, this is a solution I want to show you today. And for this, we will start with the home area in the Power BI Fabric service. And you see now we can go to the left, open the workspaces. You can create a new workspace if it's available. Normally, if you have a governance in place, there are processes where you can see how, for example, how can I get a workspace? How can I properly set permissions? How can I get groups to put them in the workspaces and so on. So in my case, I'm an administrator, so I can do anything I want. That's very comfortable for me. So I will use my prepared workspace, which is the Fabric for Power BI user workspace. And I go into this workspace, and you see I have here some backup prepared in case my demo won't work. So sometimes it happens. So hopefully not today. And now you can see here we can select a pre-designed task flow. So normally I start with the task flows because I like the idea to first see the process and then put in the items. So that's why I select my pre-designed task flow. You can do it as well, so it's not only my workspace and Zero2. So go for it and yeah, explore a bit. And you see here we have a general task flow in which we have get data. For example, we have also a mirror data area here where we can mirror data from a different database, for example, Redshift, Google BigQuery, and so on. So you don't have to manually grab the data and persist them in your Fabric, so you can mirror them. Then you have here your store data. You have here your analyze and train data, and so on. In our case, we will use the basic data analytics. You can see here we have 4 boxes, and underneath you see here below we have recommended workloads, for example, data factory, real-time intelligence. So there are some suggestions you can use if you want. And in my case, I know I want to use this one, so that's why I go on on the left side here and say select. And I see here now my boxes I can use, and the boxes are empty. If I click on it, there's nothing below. So if I want to add things, I can click on the plus, then I can create a new item. But first, I need a place where I can store my data before I can put them in. Of course, I can start with a collect data, but I like the idea to have before a place where I can put the data in. So that's why I start with store data. I click on a plus, and I see here warehouse. For everyone who's wondering now, where's the lakehouse gone? It's because I'm in the task flow of the BI analytics. That's why there's a lakehouse isn't here. If I go on the new item area here above, the lakehouse will be there, but here now are suggestions for this task flow. That's why here are the warehouse and the sample warehouse. So now I click on the warehouse. Normally it will open. And before I can now create my Fabric items, I have to make sure that my Fabric capacity is running. Otherwise, nothing will happen except an error. So let's see, go to the Fabric capacity here in my Azure portal, and I see, oh, it's not running. So first we have to start my capacity, otherwise nothing will happen. Had this one yesterday, so that's why I prepared this for today. Okay, so now we see it started, and I can go back. I can say here now I want a warehouse for my Excel, and I create it. So it's very simple and very straightforward. It's easy. So in some seconds, I have here now my place where I can store my data. And from this place, I can go and say, okay, I want different data bases, for example, or I want an Excel. Very easy. So now you see you have different options here. You can use data flow gen 2, you can use a pipeline, you can use sample data if you don't have data but you want to try it. And we start with the data flow gen 2. If you are still in Power BI and have no Fabric, then there will only be the data flow gen 1. You can also export from data flow gen 1 a JSON file and can also import it here in the gen 2 if you want, for example. And you see here data flow for Excel. So I can say data for Excel. I can also enable a Git integration if I have a deployment pipeline and public API scenarios, but in this case, no, we don't have. So we created so. And also very straightforward and easy, some seconds, and everything will build up. And you see it's live, right? So it's no video or something. If you have questions, of course, you can put them in the chat. I will see them and I can answer them. So don't be shy. And the next thing we see here, we now in our data flow, and it looks like the same like Power BI Desktop, Power Query. If you are familiar with Power BI Desktop, you know the Power Query area, and this is the same view. Of course, you have less features here, but the basic features are there. So now I can say I want to import from a CSV because the hospital data is from a CSV. And I see here now I can browse on my OneDrive if I want. Of course, this is my private OneDrive. If you want to use different things, I will make a video afterwards. So you can see how you can connect from a SharePoint, the Excel from a Teams SharePoint. Okay, now we select here our hospital data and I say, okay. Funny thing is stand auswählen, but the rest is in English, so very, very confusing sometimes here. Okay, let's say next. And now it connects to my CSV automatically. So afterwards, I only have to click on the refresh button. So for automatic refresh, very simple. I will show you later. Now I can go here, say create. I see here my data, and now you see in some seconds, hopefully, there it is. We see here our data, and if I go through it, I can see, okay, everything's there, and I can say publish. So very easy. If I want to change things, of course, I could go through everything and I can change the data type. I can add additional things if I want, and so on. Okay. And now you see if I click on collect data, there's nothing, but under store data, we have now here the data flow. And I guess it doesn't, yes. Of course, sometimes the link doesn't work, but good thing we can click on this. Yeah, I'm not sure how it's called in English. Clippy. So we click on this little icon and say, okay, the warehouse Excel is also here in the store data area. And normally collect data is the data flow. So we change this label to the collect data and say select. And then you see here now, if I click on collect data, I have here my data flow for Excel. And in my store data, I have here my warehouse Excel. Okay, looks good, looks fine. You will see that the data flow is still running, so it's loading the data. This takes a bit, so no hurry, but that's why I prepared some backup data here, so we can, work. We can go through the preloaded data here. And you see I have here my demo warehouse. It's exact the same thing here. We have the same data in it, and you see under the schema. So if we open on the left side, we have the schema, we have the DBO schema, and we have our table here. And you see here we have our hospital data. And it's the same as we loaded. The other data flow probably is still running, so that's why I show you it here. Okay, and now if I want, I can use this data to build a report. It's very easy. And for those who are screaming now, oh no, we need a data model, of course, you can also have a data model if you want. You can go on the left side to the model layout, and there you will find your tables. Don't be surprised, there will be more tables than we have. So we see here we have our hospital, which is right, hospital data. And we see here 3 other tables, which are the technical tables where we have logs in it. So for example, if you open a visual and it takes ton of time, then you can go to these logs and see what is happening here in the background. And that's why this one is here. You can track sessions, you can track the queries and so on. And yeah. So, but the important thing here is my hospital. So I see we have here also the 4th table in this area. So we have execution requests, sessions, and long running queries. I guess 4 was, yeah, that's all. Okay, now we see here, if we have more tables, we could connect them like in Power BI Desktop if we want. And yeah, so we have automatically now a default data set. Means if I go in my Power BI, I can go here on Get Data and say I want to connect to a semantic model. And now I see I have getting started featured. No, that's not the right one. It's my workspace. Let me see. Oh, I see. I'm connected with my different account. That's why I can't see all of my semantic models. But normally, you could go here, and if you are correct connected, then you will see here all of your data. I can change this in a minute, so it's very easy. I go to my workspace. I say here workspace access, and then I can add my other profile here. It's very easy, very straightforward. Don't do it in your tenant, please use groups. I do it because of the demo, otherwise I won't see anything in my Power BI desktop. Okay, so try it again. Power BI semantic models. And there we are. Now I can see everything here. I see also my demo data set here, and I can go and connect it. Now we get a little security warning because I want to connect different data here. Normally, there it is. I say demo, or click on it and submit. So where's the security warning? Today's everything a bit slow, but it will come, I'm sure, hopefully. Okay, so normally this works. We will go back in a minute. But if it's not working, you could also, of course, use the Power BI service to build a report, which I would not recommend because there are some features which maybe you want to use, but you don't have in the service. And for me, the preferred building tool for reports is always a Power BI desktop. So that's why I always would prefer here the Power BI desktop. And maybe I have to load it again. Doesn't work. Let's see. Demo, connect. Sometimes we have to push it a bit. So submit. Okay, I will go after this, after the sessions. It's good if demo is not working in a live stream. But let's go here and we see our data flow 1 is loaded. This was my backup. And here's the data flow for Excel. And here is the warehouse Excel, which means I should also be able to see the semantic model for the Excel warehouse. Let me see, Excel, there it is, warehouse Excel, connect. And the same thing as before. Okay, go on, submit. Maybe it's because it's today, so today is not a good day to connect data, maybe. Okay, good. Let's do it in a service. We have here now our warehouse. I can click on the left side on create. And then I can pick a published semantic model, which is my warehouse Excel. And then I can click, this is very smart, you can click on auto create report. For this, you don't even need a license. You'd only need a free license and your own workspace. Then you can click on auto create. It's not that smart as Copilot, but it is okay. Okay, now something. Of course, today is not a good day for demos. Yesterday it was better, but let's load it again and let's see if it's doing or not. And no, I don't want. Make sure. Maybe there's something I have to reload. Let's go back to the workspace and let's see. And that's why I prepared the backup. And okay. We will come through it. So now backup. And here we are, and we see we have here a demo report. Hopefully this one will work. So typically, normally certain demos. Okay, so now it's working, and you see this is also auto-generated report. It's not very fancy, but you get an idea of what is in your data. And of course, you can also edit the data. If you click on edit, then you can go here, you can create a new page, and you can create new visuals and so on. And the next part would be, don't save, would be track data. So we could also click here on new item, and then I see here my scorecards. And then I click on scorecards, and I see here now I can say demo, and I can current value. Yeah, I have different options. I can connect to my existing data, which means click on connect data, and then I can click here on my well, let's go on the demo. So, and in the demo report, of course, you need a report where you can track the data, and then you can choose one of these visuals, and it will extract the current value. You can also, if there's more, you can click here and see more, but there isn't in the moment. And then you see here we have the current value. If you have, for example, a forecast, you can also final target, use here your connect to data. If you have also a visual which has a forecast in it, would be also possible. And then you can say the status is on track. You can say start date, due date, and so on. You can also send messages if you want, so alerts. You can set up alerts for your data. You can set up subscriptions for your data, and so on. So there are multiple options you can use here. And if the scorecard is ready, then you see here now under track data, we have also our scorecard. Okay, so that's it for the Fabric demo. And now let's go back to my presentation. And yeah, it's demo time. It was demo time. If you want to have Copilot in Fabric, so maybe you are already started with Fabric, you have to switch it on in your tenant. And as I mentioned, P1 or F65 or higher. And then there are different areas in Fabric. I have a session upcoming in the next in 2 weeks, where will I show you all the steps with Copilot. So what can Copilot do in these different areas? For example, in the data factory, we will change data types, or we will see what suggested steps we can get. In the notebooks, I will show you how you can use with natural language the notebooks, and it will create the code. In the data warehouse, we will see some code fixing. So if you have, for example, a typo or there's something missing, then you can use, for example, a quick fix. Real-time intelligence we won't do, but we will do a lot of things in Power BI. So Power BI has so many AI features in it. Also the AI insights. I have a video on it on LinkedIn Learn, but this one is in German, so maybe there's this transcription under it, which explains the AI insights, so scorecards, key phrases. Also, we will take a look into DAX measures, how they can create it by natural language, a description of measures, and so on. So there are a lot of going on. And yes, I hope you will come next in 2 weeks to see my other session. And I hope it was helpful. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, then I can answer them right now. If you have questions later, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and then you can write me there and I will answer you there. Yeah, I hope you have fun with this video and you learned a bit. So let's see, last slide. Thanks for your attention. And yes, the last screen is my AI in Microsoft Fabric. So hopefully I see you there, and have a nice day. Bye bye.